Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with Tyranny blind. Now I'm here in the ruins of a village called Phlogiston, which is kind of a pun because it's on fire. And I'm looking for a sage that Wagstaff from the Bastard's Wound wants me to kill, but I probably am not going to do that, or at least not without a conversation first.
I got it.
There's also the Scarlet Chorus here, so let's see what their deal is. Come closer, chum. The soldier twirls his axe as he calls out to you. Let's have a good look at you. The chorus warrior scans you from head to toe, twirling his axe and puffing his chest as he looks you over. The boss said we're only free to kill disfavored, but if you've come here for a fight, I'm sure we can oblige. So what brings you to this shit stain of a village? Who's in charge here? That would be Kraskalia. She's always looking like she's having a shittier time than everyone else. Look for the Blood Chanter on the rooftop north of here. No doubt she's contemplating whether or not our problems can be solved with, oh, I don't know, fire? What's your role in the gang? I am the fun one. Kalia makes the decisions, but I get to enforce them. When things get quiet, I am the huntmaster, since none of those jolly idiots can discern deer spoor from dog shit. I'm here for a sage named Phoibe. You could be in luck. We've captured a few that were lurking in the area, but I didn't pay attention to their names. When you're trying to interrogate them, details like that feel so secondary. You should talk to the boss about them. Learn anything from them? This isn't the sort of thing I should discuss with the outsiders. Talk to Kraskalia herself, if you care so much. I'll be going now. I might kill them?
Right.
But I want to talk to them first. A short, shifty-eyed man puffs up his chest as you approach. Didn't expect to see so many visitors out here. What do you need? He scratches a hairy mole on his neck. What's your role in the gang? Oh, know anything about the captured sages? I know only that we're under orders to nab them and interrogate them. Kraskalia is the only one who could tell you for sure why. What's your role in the gang? Me, I'm the eyes and ears. Have been pulling scout duty since we lost Shrill Tantrum to the disfavored. When I'm not watching over the gang, I'm watching over this one. He points to the woman standing next to him. Contagion here is mine, so hands off. She's been a little odd since the injury, but she's still in there, mostly. A tall, wiry woman peers intently at a scrap of parchment in her hand, tracing the contours of an elaborate drawing with her finger. Like tree, but prettier, she giggles approvingly at its content, scratching the area around with around a noticeable dent in her forehead. As you approach, she crumples up the drawing and stuffs it in her shirt. Are you friend? Okay, so she suffered brain injury in combat, which has seemingly rendered her a bit simple. Normally I would say I am not, but I am going to say sure, why not, because I don't think she would understand. I don't think she's currently that well equipped to discuss like political theory with me. Sure, why not? She grins and nods. Good. No need to kill you then. Not in the mood for killing right now. What do you want? That's a bit of a rude question, and normally, like, no, okay, rude is too much, I guess. Like, actually, when I really think about it, because I am disabled myself, and visibly so, mildly, very mildly, I am 100% self-sufficient, but visibly so because I limp. And I actually personally don't have any problems with people asking why I limp, or what my health problem is. And in fact, I personally find it more rude or more insensitive, at least, if people like consciously ignore it and try to pretend it's not there. Because, it's part of me. Like, I have my problems and they are visible to others, so it's only natural that they should ask. But it's a highly sort of personal, subjective thing. I could understand some people being self-conscious about their health problems and maybe not wanting to answer questions. I am going to ask because this is a game and I want to get the most content I can from it. So, what happened to your forehead? She taps her forehead. A confused expression spreads across her face as she hunts around for something on her face, oblivious to the injury. What do you mean? Did I make a mess again? She hasn't any memory of the accident. I'm just lucky to still have her. What do you do in the gang? Warrior, toughest of the crew. Needle-toe husband. Kalia boss. Skinner is the little boss. Ragward cooks. Gang is a family. How long have you and Needle-toe been together? What do you mean? Needle is made for life. Is that long? Says we're together forever. Maybe someday we'll scrape, he says. Honey, don't tell everything to the stranger. He leans in to grab her arm, blushing as he does. I told her that someday we'll scrape together enough rings to afford some real food for a change. No, they want to flee. Okay, this is very cool and kind of like heartwarming. I am immediately invested in helping them. Because obviously that's what I've been talking about for some time. Even though I despise the chorus sort of as a whole in their methods, I am not oblivious to the fact that the lowest ranking members are here by force. They have been conscripted at a knife point and they've suffered horrible trauma watching their friends and families being slaughtered or being forced to do that themselves just to save their lives. So if they want to escape, sure, I am 120% invested in helping them. But first, because I want to talk to the others, I think it might end in a fight if I help them, like in a fight with the others. So you consider the gang your family, and Needle-toe is real family, but the gang is almost as good. Let me ask you something else. What's that parchment you're playing with? Pretty drawing. Skinner plays with sages and said Sage so happy she gave drawing as a gift. Plays with sages. Man, this makes me sad. Like, this makes me double sad because obviously I assume she was, she didn't have this problem before the injury. She has been rendered, mentally disabled as a result of brain injury. But I also find it sad because the diminished capacity to understand the world makes her oblivious to a lot of things. Because the playing in question is torture. The drawing looks faded. I could make a prettier copy for you. No, but she holds out a wrinkled parchment which contains a prominent sigil and many paragraphs of scholarly exposition. The drawing looks faded. I could make a prettier copy for you. You make nice drawing for me? You produce a pen and a clean parchment. As she hands you the scroll, you copy the sigil precisely, adding minor embellishments to exaggerate its features. Contussion claps excitedly as you add flourishes. As she gazes adoringly at her new gift, you tack the now unwanted scroll away in your pack. That's all for now. Okay, let's talk to the leader. There's also Ragward. Okay, let's talk to him first. The chorus warrior holds her work of grinding spices with a mortar and pestle as you approach, and the sharp, pungent smell of herbs and oil stands out over the prevailing smell of char in the village. Need something? Kalia speaks for the gang, so you probably want to have words with her instead. What's your role? Me, I just do what Kalia says and try not to get in the way. Since most of these losses can smell over their own stink, the honor of cooking falls to me. She wipes her nose across her arm before returning to the work of grinding her mortar and pestle. I can't complain. It insulates me from abuse. Even Skinner knows better than to mistreat the person who's preparing her food. Tell me about the captive sages. I've scarcely had words with them, which suits me fine. She jerks her head towards Skinner. He's our torture enthusiast. Maybe speak with him. Right, his name is Skinner. I just now sort of... That's actually kind of funny, because I didn't... Skinner is actually, I believe, just a surname. Some people are literally named Skinner, but he is named Skinner, and I assume he is a Skinner by the meaning of he's flaying people. I must be going. Okay, let's talk to the leader. A tall, heavy-scarred blood chanter stands before the tree-bound and bloodied sages. She raises her palm, and bright orange with an unnatural heat, and presses it to one of the captive's eyes. His agonized screams blend together with the hiss of cooking flesh, ending only after he slumps over, passed out. She hears your approach and turns around, panting slightly from the exertion. Kairos' fetid merkin, a Fatebinder out here, of all places. She winces briefly, patting a tightly wound bandage covering her ribs. I know the voices of Nerat wants your eviscerated heart, but I have no interest in trying to collect. Not when we have work to do. I would prefer my gang to save our strength to fight the disfavored, so keep your weapons lowered, and we'll do the same. Okay, this is interesting and cool, because it seems that for once, at least some people have caught on to the fact that I'm actually their enemy. Because it boggles my mind how everyone is ignoring the blatant treason that I've been doing since the end of Act 1. But at least the voices of Nerat wants me dead, so at least there is that. The feeling's mutual, by the way. So, what do you want? How did you get that wound? I let my guard down. Didn't watch my flank, got slashed in the ribs by some runt sage and his ridiculous quill knife. She grimaces as she adjusts bandages around her midsection. What were the sages doing here when you found them? Nothing seems to arouse those sages more than the idea of reclaiming their precious knowledge. No doubt they meant to sneak into the burning library. Otherwise, why trudge through this sad eyesore of a country? They aren't talking, though. Okay, I'll be going, because now that I've talked to everyone, I will want to help them escape. And I have a feeling, because are the others just going to watch, or are they going to do it in the night? It might very well involve fighting the rest of them. Yes? What do you do in the gang? So, you said scrape. Did you mean escape? Yeah, that's what he said. She's been a little off since the injury. I'm lucky I still have contusions, strangers and all. Not going to risk all of that by escaping, that's nonsense. No, I do want to help, literally. Oh, hey Fatebinder, you want to talk to me again? Contusion said you wanted to escape. Everyone in the course imagines escaping, right? Don't mean nothing to it. We're safe where we are now. Well, if you were trying to escape, maybe I could help. He glances at his wife before eyeing you head to toe, taking in a deep breath in preparation of speaking his mind. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I've contemplated running every day. When Contusion got her injury, things got all the more terrifying. Kraskalia sees her as a simpleton, best suited for arrow bait. The chorus will be the death of us. We need to get out of here, and away from the fighting, but I ought to stockpile some rings first, otherwise we won't last long on our own. Yeah, I'll help you. Your gang dies today. Take contusion and run. Now, do not look back. What? What are you going to do? He eyes the surrounding horsemen, who have taken notice of your drone weapon. Thank you, Fatebinder. We won't forget this. He grabs Contusion by the hand and sprints towards the edge of the village. I feel very heartwarmed by this. Because especially, the others didn't have to find me. The fact that they do, to me, is proof that they are all drunk on the murder Kool-Aid. Because, you know, if there were people like him among them, who were forced into this and didn't like it, they should just run and hide while I kill all the others that want to fight. So I don't even feel bad, and I feel like I've done a good deed. Like I am satisfied with this.
We have company. Right.
I'm on.
I got it. On it.
Wait, I did that?
This is useless. I should try something else.
I can't feel my...
This is useless. I should try something else. This is useless. I should try something else.
Okay, speak with Phoibe. Another interrogator, injured and restrained, the middle-aged woman manages a weak smile between her swollen and blood-caked lips. Though cuts and burns run along the length of her body, her quiet composure grants her a surprising measure of dignity. Apologies if I'm running short on screams, she chuckles, wincing from some unknown pain. Sage Phoibe, you're looking like you're staying active? Oh, for the love of... Why am I not surprised to see the Overlord's most loyal fanatic on the side of my captors? Well, didn't you notice I killed all of your captors? Who's your friend? That's Sage Phoibe, one of our brighter members. It pains me to say so. She's an expert on concealment magic, or at least she should be expert enough to not have been caught. Whisper to kills in shadow. Smell the sage and search area for anything that matches her scent. She acknowledges your command with a nod and leans in close to Phoibe, running a claw along the sage's cheek as she takes in the prisoner's ink and sweat reek. Snout up, Kills in Shadow lowers her haunches and looks around. She seems unable to pick up a scent, but determined to keep sniffing all the same. Marching to Kairos' drumbeat already. Was that the arrangement? You preach surrender to the sages, and Kairos' minions treat you like a pet. What is this conversation? Like, didn't she notice, that the leader of the Scarlet Chorus was standing right here, and I cut her down? I'm caked in the blood of the chorusmen, so what's her problem? Let's focus on the task at hand. No matter how many times I try to divulge all that I know, all you seem to think is I'm hiding more. So be it, we'll play this little game once more. Ask your questions. Well, answer my questions and then we'll discuss your fate. I don't suppose you'll be setting me free if I answer your questions. She strains to hold her head up high, cracking the slightest of smiles. Well, that depends on your cooperation. I suppose I'm in no position to decline. She cranes her head upward and awaits your questions with a belabored breath. What were you doing here? Foraging, trying to find food to survive. Ever since the Edict of Fire, I've been a homeless and nomadic, yet I can't bring myself to wander too far off from the burning library. It still feels like the center of Terratus to me. Why did you come to this ruined village specifically? When you warned us of the Edict of Fire, many of my peers grabbed whatever they could carry and fled the Vellum Citadel. Whatever texts made it out are now all we have of our old lives. I knew some survivors passed through this village. It seemed plausible that they would stash something here, so I stopped to investigate. And then the chorus found me and the beatings begin. You risked coming to this village because it seemed plausible that someone hid something here? Odd risks to take. The Vellum Citadel has fallen, but my mission to gather knowledge remains. I follow any plausible lead I can. Uncertainty is an easy lie to peddle. Tell me why you came to this meaningless spot. I'll mangle your writing hand. Like, I am not against, as I said once, I'm not against threats per se. It's just that they are mostly a bluff for me. I wouldn't torture her in actuality, but I think, actually, I think it's an interesting literary concept where you have characters using threats to be heroic. My favorite example of this is in The Song of Ice and Fire with Jaime. By the way, spoilers for The Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones. Because in the later books, after he gets on his sort of redemption path, the biggest tragedy of his character is that nobody believes that he's sincere. Everyone thinks he's a shit person. His reputation is in the gutter. Everyone thinks he's a shit person with no honor. So even when he tries his best to be forthright and honorable, everyone thinks it's a trick. So there's a scene where he threatens Edmure, like very over the top. But he does that because he knows it's going probably to work, given his reputation, because Edmure will think he's sincere, whereas it's left unclear to what degree he is. But I personally think he was mostly bluffing, and he wouldn't do at least the most horrible of the things that he said he would. And I'm kind of leaning the same way, which is I am willing to threaten people to do horrible things to them so that they cooperate with me, but I hope they never call me on my bluff, because I would have trouble actually going through with it. So, uncertainty is an easy lie to peddle. Tell me why you came here, or I'll mangle your writing hand. Please, that won't be necessary. I'll talk. The truth is, I stashed some of old writings in this village years before the war. I came back to recover the texts, but someone beat me to it. So my stash was already looted, and to add insult to injury, those Chorus goons found me. My peers, she gestures towards the others, all suffered because I insisted on gathering up old things. A foolish error. What sorts of texts were you here to recover? Just poetry, an almanac, sentimental stuff. I can't imagine such things would interest you. You're right, I was hoping to hear you had hidden away some research into some rogue archon known only to the Tearsmen. I am not going to mention Wagstaff as of now, because I want to sort of get to know her. Her eyes light up at the comment. Well, not an unknown archon, but... She bows her head and falls silent. Finish that thought. Though my work was in the earlier stages, I was exploring an adaptation of sort of old Tidecaster magic. I was working with an expression that allowed earth and alloys to be made liquid, then back into solid. I thought this aqueous metallurgy, as I called it, would change the world of artifice as we know it, but all I've done with the magic is ruin perfectly good trinkets. I feel the magic is doomed to be little more than a novelty. She glances about the area with a long sigh. Well, the colors are no longer a concern. If you let me go, I'll tell you where I hid the tome. Done. Now, to your end of the bargain. As the bonds come undone, she rubs her wrists with a pained smile. Look to the southwest. In a smashed crate between a burned tree to the blackened remains of a house, my magic concealed its image, but... if you know where to look, you ought to see it. Thank you for my life, though feel free to spread the word that I'm a corpse. Life might be easier that way. She slowly picks up herself, readying herself before the long march. Safe travels. No, but I wanted... No! Okay, that was a... Okay, so nothing came out of that conversation regarding why does Wagstaff consider her a threat. So he's not going to be very happy with me, I think. But there's little I can do about it right now. This book contains an extensive amount of information regarding how to mix Forgebound and Tidecaster magic together in beneficial ways. Okay, so I guess maybe he was interested in that, which, to be honest, it might be a good way to broker some sort of an alliance between Jaspos and Wagstaff, because obviously Jaspos is Forgebound and Wagstaff is Tidecaster, so I would imagine they would have to work together to utilize whatever knowledge is there in that book. Okay, what do I have to do in Halfskate again? Travel to Halfskate to make contact with Earthshaker representative. Okay, so this is for the main quest. I will travel back to the Bastard's Wound for now.
Sorry, I can't.
Fatebinder, you've returned. Sage Lantry, what are you doing here? A long story, my young friend. The synopsis is that I'm working with the Fatebinder now. And just what brings you to this, of all places? Lexime, of course. I would follow her anywhere, or so I thought. She had descended deep into the old walls, farther than our patrols dared to venture. Apologies she can't be here to greet you. Lexime, she's alive, so she survived the Edict of Fire. Lantry's eyes widen with surprise, and you hear the clinking of vials as his entire body trembles. I gave the sages a fair warning. Glad to know someone listened. Sage Lexime and I go way back. She joined the school a year before I did, so we more or less ran the paces together. If she's alive, why didn't she try to find me? Did you try to contact all of the other sages you thought were alive? Right, right. We tried not to cloud the skies with missive birds. That would give the enemy something to follow. Like me, she probably tried to avoid detection, not light a signal fire. Were you two rivals or friends? Both. We were chroniclers, so there was a competition of sorts, but I think I'm allowed to say that we got along well enough. Not that many of my friendships survived my politics. I was in favor of surrendering the school to Kairos, hardly a popular outlook. Last I know, she went into the depths of the old walls. To me, that's a death sentence, especially if she's no longer able to work her magic. I'm so sorry, I wish you had stumbled upon us sooner. Maybe you could have reconnected with her. Her mind was dwindling, and I know she was fixated on making sure everything she carried out of the Vellum Citadel was hidden and safe. She and I hid one such cache by the farm. The others are, I presume, deeper in the old walls. Lexime knew an old sage trick that conceals the stashes, making them fade from view unless another chronicler stands near. When her magic began fading, she made a rush to conceal things, but aside from the one stash near the farm, only she knows where the rest lay. Is there anything else I can help you with? No. As you turn to leave, you see Lantry lost in thought, rubbing his cerulean ink between his fingers and a thumb. Guess one of your old friends is here. What should we expect? She's an old friend of mine, and by now we've already detected. You've already detected an understatement in my voice, so ask your questions. Is she an old love interest? You presume correctly. We were deeply intimate for the better time of 15 years. The school gave up long ago trying to make rules against fraternization, and we took full advantage of living in the modern era of the school of Ink and Quill, when sages could do away with a furtive copulation and the foolish attempts to curb the natural inclination of scholars to rot. It was her magic I loved most. She was gifted, truly gifted. If she could archive those little accents on her spells that none could... she could archive those little accents on her spells that none of us could replicate. At first, I had nothing but envy and hate for her, but somewhere along the line, it became adoration, and I just hoped to Kairos that if I wrapped up against her long enough, maybe some of her talent would rub off on me. No such luck. If you were so close, why didn't you flee the Citadel together? There was a time when we were inseparable. I learned so much of my magic from her and her from me. We were each other's mentor and student. It is a very special sort of bond. But it was a relationship that I fouled through my own convictions. In the years before Kairos' conquest, I urged our school to surrender, and urge is an understatement. I rabidly advocated would be a more apt description. Lexime did not share my assessment of Kairos or my opinion on what must be done. I was in the dissenting minority, and most felt I was a traitor, Lexime included. But I wasn't about to back off my belief that surrender was the right idea. Considering what came to pass, I feel justified in my stance. While I normally adore being right about things, in this particular case, my tumescent smudgeness maybe isn't worth the friendship it all cost me. What do you make of her condition? From the sound of it, she was afflicted with sleeplessness, and by all accounts, madness would naturally follow, but if she's down in the old walls and enfeebled, she'd be easy prey for the Bane. I assure you, whatever struck her, I won't let it happen to you. I doubt you can make that promise, but thanks all the same. If such a state afflicted me, after I tire of writing without pause for day on end, I would ask that you put me out of my misery. Deal. Come to think of it, you might look a little off, Lantry. Quick, fall asleep at once, or I have to assume it's time to euthanize you. Forget it. If I become sleepless for all time, leave me at a brothel to die in the company of less troublesome women. So you two worked on the chronicle together. We were but two members of a team spanning generations, but yes, we both contributed to the chronicles. Long bouts of fieldwork and longer stretches of outering our findings suited our temperaments. My colleagues insisted original research was the way to make a name for myself, but accounting of everything is a cause greater than us all. Lexime saw the chronicle as half record of things that were, and half a record of how things ought to be. To her, every moment we record offers universal insights into how people will act in the future. I take a more modest stance that you can't stand in the same river twice, and the same general can't fight the same war twice, so history is of limited predictive power. Forgive me, you didn't ask for the nuances of our philosophical debates. What did you make of those chronicles fragments she tasked us to find? My heart sings every time I can safeguard a text against destruction. Still, there is something bothering me about those writings. Let's look around a bit more. Ask me again when I have a few pieces to compare. Find the Bastard Wounds Farm Chronicle. Yeah, but where's the farm here? Like, is it outside? None of this looks particularly farm-like to me. In the Bastard Wounds farm area, what would that be? You've returned. I decided not to take back your tools. His smile vanishes and is quickly replaced with a mask of carefully suppressed rage. Fatebinder, that news is beyond displeasing to me. I thought the tools made for a modest request. I don't see a way for us to forge on ahead. He slams his sledgehammer into a nearby rock, pulverizing it beyond any use. If you'll excuse me, Fatebinder, the settlers have needs I must attend to. Leave me be. I have far much to do, and nothing left to say to you. Okay, he kind of sucks. Like, not only did he lie about being a master and sent me to steal somebody else's tools, but he's acting all indignant because I had the goal not to commit theft on his command. Like, he's acting as if I wronged him.
Sorry, I can't. Can't do that.
Fatebinder? Of all the shriveled barnacles to find, you? By Kairos' swollen tit, you? What of Camberil? Hagrivar? Don't tell me you've all that's left. Step back and let them talk. They fought a good fight but fell to Cairn at the well. This Fatebinder here was there, made sure they had a proper duel. It was a lopsided battle, but it was an honor. How about you? How did you slither your way here? They are dead, so the militants have fallen and you is all that is left. Fuck us all, Kairos has really won. And I didn't slither, it was more of a surreptitious crawl. Speaking of lowly vermin, what are you doing with this lowlife? Are you talking about her or me? Need me to give you two a moment? A moment? Hardly. I can't think of the last time Wagstaff kept his banter for more than a minute or two. Ever since you aged into that phase of a worn tangerine, we've all had problems keeping things up around you. Speaking of improbable feats of tumescence, is this little apex boy of yours still ramming your stern on the regular? Aldenos died of his wounds in the Battle of the Gate of Judgments. How about you? I can only assume half the reason you're here is to find some new apprentices and fuck them. That's what I would do. Well, yes and no. Yes with the apprentices, but I don't know, I just might stay here. We've stumbled upon something unusual here. Not sure how a permanent solution a solution living here might be, but trying to make the most out of it. But your friend here changes things. The Tidecaster points at you with a scowl. We always knew outsiders would come, but short of Graven Asher showing up, a Fatebinder is about as terrifying a notion as we've imagined. Well, not to bore the Fatebinder with our verbal jetsam, it's been pleasure to... Wait, that's a lie. It's not overly disappointing to see you. There, I said something nice. Likewise, the old man shakes his head slowly as he turns his attention your way. What else do you have for me? I have news regarding Phoibe. You have? Well, out with it then. What happened? I let her go. You found her and let her escape. His face flushes with red as his body pitches forward. Then she will still be a threat. Did you at least find anything of hers? No doubt she traded you something for her life. You seem to care more about this book than the fact that I let her go. You always run the risk of being discovered. Killing Phoibe lowers that risk, it does not remove it. But the tome could help me ready our defenses against a larger threat. You may have not followed my orders, but you brought me something better. Thank you, good Fatebinder. The knowledge in this tome will greatly benefit the people of the Bastard's Wound. You are the patron of our prosperity to come. Fatebinder, I thought your arrival would lead to ruin, but instead, you have blessed us with your service. You have my thanks. The Bastard Wound presents all sorts of threats. The Bane, sparse vegetation and toxic water. Perhaps the oddest threats come from within. Reef Talon, the former alpha of sorts of our tribe, became wild and uncontrolled. She started to exhibit healing powers, or so it seemed. She could heal the outward symptoms of injuries, but those she treated became sleepless, doomed to waste away. Reef Talon is gone, she fled into the old wolves, but in her lies an answer to our woes. Her mystically charged blood will allow me to make purifying reagents for decades, probably longer. Putting her down would also prevent her healing others and making more sleepless. To put it bluntly, kill her, bring back her corpse, and you will have solved our water and sleepless problems in one slice. Why can't you just make more of the purifying agent you've always been making? A losing proposition. The beastmen that guard us would need to be bled and eventually slaughtered. This can be solved by harming one life now instead of many later. Is killing her really necessary? No, but I doubt nasty words and harsh glares will browbeat her into surrender. Well, I'll think about it. Oh, do I have to agree for the quest to... So about this matter of Reef Talon, I'll say I'll take care of it, but I will not necessarily kill her. I will certainly look for other options. I'll take care of it. Together we might save the wound. As it happens, my eyes and ears tell me Jaspos has a crew of hunters looking for Reef Talon. It's imperative we find her first. You'll need two things. First, hold on to my warden key. Wagstaff bundles a medallion from his pouch and places it on your hand. You'll need this down below. It should let you access the switches and runes. It's essential for navigating the depths. Try not to get yourself killed down there. Not only am I grateful for the mercy you've shown our settlement, but I also need this trinket back eventually. Second, you'll need the keystone to the teleporter that takes you down to the Untamed section. Speak to Insipid Moniker, tell her you need the keystone and that you have my approval. Gain a permanent health bonus and a reduction to all shock damage. Now, Kills in Shadow is indeed quite a killer. Like, look, she has 452 hit points compared to mine 200. Once per encounter, when Ebb's health is critical, she triggers a nova of repelling waters to surge outward, pushing back foes. Sounds pretty cool.
Will do.
I need access to the Old World's teleporter. I was told you have a keystone that opens it. I've got it. The rock's been entrusted to me for safekeeping. Why should I let some outsider take it off my hands? Wagstaff needs my help. Of course. Don't let this peon delay you any further. Her smirk vanishes as she unwraps the keystone and pushes it forcefully into your hands. Don't take my needling too seriously, Fatebinder. Not many skulls to crack down here, so I've got to get my excitement where I can. Watch out for the sleepless while you're down there. Do us all a favor and put a few out of their misery. She sneers and backs away. Okay, but where's the farm area?
Sorry, I can't.
Like, is it outside? So that would be logical to me. You can't make much of a farm so deep underground. I will go outside and look around for those texts before I descend into the old walls. While making your way through the wilderness, you come upon several dense shrubs, liberally dotted with crimson berries. The fruits are plump and ripe, with a thin skin that gives slightly under the pressure of your touch, hinting at the juice within. I think I had that already. You recognize the plant as budding rose, a bush that produces edible berries. They are known as an aphrodisiac, commonly used in local festivals. Unfortunately, they are also mildly toxic to the practitioners of magic. Just continue. You leave the bushes off and continue on your way, because my option is to eat them, or to, like, feed them to one of my companions. But why would you, like, unless they want to do that themselves, why would you feed someone, what's the word for it in English? It has a specific effect that they might not want, so it's especially cruel for Barrick, because he's trapped in his armor, so...
Sorry, I can't.
Okay, to be honest, I don't really know what they mean when they say it's in the farm area. There are seemingly different, like, chambers but I don't know how to get to them. Like the portal, I imagine, leads to the old walls proper. I doubt they would set farms there. Wait, this is a farm. Oh, this is a portal to a farm. Okay.
Slow down. Let's take a closer look.
The torrential water plummets down from the jagged openings in the old walls above. Churned by their passages through the ancient tunnels, a cool mist brushes your face, smelling faintly of dust and decay.
I wonder how many people had to die until they figured out which type of mushrooms were safe to eat.
Fatebinder, mind if I something you for a moment? Bother you? Chard, nashroot, charlock, and tubbers all flourish in the noisome soil, despite growing deep within the old walls.
Sorry, I can't. Sorry, I can't.
Faint illumination from the sky above limns the jagged edges of this fractured old walls overhead. Far below, you can make out flittering dots of torchlight, making the wound community. Okay, there's actually quite a few people to talk to here, so I think I'll talk to them next episode. I just want to find the writings. The chronicle was hidden here by Sage Lexim. Take the chronicle so Lantry may study it further. Ah, the old concealed text in a pile of pig shit. Classic. As Lantry approaches the corner of the pen, a pile of hay and animal droppings vanishes, replaced by a stash of scrolls. Now here's a subject close to my heart. Histories of the school. Who doesn't love a little auto-chronicle? Roll calls, minutes, graduation announcements, publication dates, and letters. Oh my. I doubt Sages Koran and Ostrek had the idea their correspondences would be immortalized for the records. Not the most exciting of history, but I can see why Mell and Lexim would want the words of their colleagues close at hand. He thumbs through the tome, chuckling with a nostalgic smile at each turn of the page. I take it brings back memories. Indeed, some of those notes even have my name on them. Ah yes, my series on bird anatomy, I did that back in 388? Where have their years gone? Do the notes include the parts where you conspired to steal our magic? A slight cough escapes Lantry's lips, but he offers no reply, aside from turning pages. Well, do they? Well, of course they... Lantry pauses, his eyes stopping to read the text before him. Nope, they don't. This is only about entrapping an old dolt from the School of Wild Wrath. An enemy like the Tidecasters, you fight without a written record. I think I'm flattered. Come closer so that I can show you my appreciation. Nice try, you old hag. Lantry never makes the same mistake 8 times. I know it's all worthless in hindsight, but it is a record of our school, whatever that's worth. I can obsess about these later. We have other things to do, right? So you knew Kairos was coming. How many years in the making is this school tradition of stashing texts throughout the tiers? It was sort of an insult to suggest something was safer outside the citadel than within, until the first fall of Vengeance Well, back in 429. At this point, I'm certain all of us started preemptively looting the citadel, hauling our books to safety. We all lied to each other about it, of course. We can pause. I'll look around while you have a read. How can I say no to that order? With a smug grin, the old sage dives into the text. Several minutes pass as Lantry pores over the pages. Strange, all the names of dead people. Good riddance to some. Others, our laws. Kairos' laws. Anyone you knew very well? In a way, all of them. The school was never crowded enough to disappear into anonymity, but as a field scholar of sort, I was distant. I was as distant as it gets. He shakes his head with a heavy sigh, lifting a quill from near his shoulders as he does. He puts the quill to his hand and scribbles several circles of sepia. Anything seem incorrect? A relaxed smile sets across his face as he exhales, wiping his sepia-stained hands against his cheek. Oh, this is odd. Let me have a look. You spot a page inked with a conspicuously glossy sheen, suggesting ink far fresher than the original writing. A minuscule crease along the binding suggests that the page was inserted, likely via magical means, to blend almost seamlessly. The text describes a debate between the sages, discussing a riddle of rings, and one sage, with the familiar name of Lantry, is arguing that the riddle of rings posits that Kairos has already conquered the tiers. For if the sages speak the language of Kairos, Lantry reasoned, and use the currency of Kairos, then the military conquest is an extraneous formality. Every village in the realm has its own local riddles, but you've heard one of the riddle of rings as a sort of proverb older mages tell the younger ones, though most forge-bound tell intentionally conflicting details of it to the outsiders, so whatever meaning it has is a bit muddled. You've heard soldiers joke that the riddle of rings is a saying about the oft talked about, probably apocryphal forge-bound stack with a duty of crafting rings all day. By common jest, the riddle is, how many rings does he make each span, and how many of those does he get to keep? What kind of riddle is that? Care to explain this? It was 425, and Sage Cavil was giving a lecture series, having recently returned from his expedition to observe the Forgebound and their ways. At one point, he discussed their teaching methods, so the riddle of rings came up as a part of his lecture. At the time, I joked that the real riddle of rings is, aren't we already conquered? And I laughed into the not entirely sober launched into a not entirely sober diatribe against Kairos' inevitable invasion dominion. According to this, I gave a stirring speech met with applause. Hardly. I was hit in the head with an old scroll case and told to sit down, shut up, and let the scholars talk. Well, you could correct the record if it's false. I could, and I will. I'll make a note to return to this until I know why it was edited as such. I would just assume not to tamper further. I think my nostalgia has been overtaxed for the time being. Let's get moving. I need to think on it a bit. Lantry closes the tome, stashing the old book in one of his satchels.
Can't do that.
Okay, I'll talk with all the people next time, because there's a couple of them, and this episode has been long enough, so I'm going to save and end it for now. That's all for this one, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.